Welcome back to Op4, everyone. Today we're going to be making one of my favorite utility knives. Now you can call it an improvised weapon, you can call it a tool, but a rose by any other name is still going to be as deadly. We are going to be using old room keys rather than an actual credit card, because the last thing that you want is to ruin a perfectly good card that you can no longer swipe in a machine. Because we are going to be putting a disposable razor blade and affixing that to the card at a 45-degree angle with about 1/8 of an inch of the blade sticking out. You do have to be careful with this. These are very sharp, and the reason that we like these so much is the way that you can conceal them. The ability to pass through security checks and to bypass pat downs and the general, even the advanced scrutiny of a full search. Now, we are not advocating here at Oppositional Forces that you circumvent lawful authority and bring a weapon into a place where they are restricted. However, if you are entering somewhere that it is just policy that you not have anything, all you're doing is violating policy, not law. Now, I'm not a lawyer. This is not, that's not meant for some sort of legal advice. I'm just telling you how it is. There's ways to get a weapon into places that you may need the ability to cut yourself free or to cut your way out. Okay, so we're going to get started here. The reason we use disposable blades and not, a large razor blade for like a utility knife, or the razor blades that like the replaceable blades that you would put into other tools. You often see them associated with like sewing kits and like at a barber shop for their straight razor shaves. We like these because they are so small that even going through an X-ray scanner, it's not going to raise any red flags. It's a very thin piece of metal. It does not look like anything dangerous, and therefore it's not going to ping the system that is designed to look for the shapes of weapons. Okay, so how we're going to start here is I'm going to crack open one end of this knife, and again, I'm going to be very careful not to damage the blades and not to cut myself. So as you see, I'm just going to rip off the end here, and I do have a little bit of a crimp on that blade, but I am not going to sweat the small stuff, and I'm going to remove everything in the way so that we can get to those pesky little blades. And one quick grab of the blade here, and it should come free. Now you'll see this featured in many different places. Sometimes it's called like the CIA like hide knife, or you'll see it in Neil Strauss's book Emergency, and they are showing this again as an alternative where, there we go, as an alternative where you can't normally take an edged weapon. And although I struggle with this a little bit here, you can see I have protected, although I've damaged the front one, that secondary blade is perfectly intact. And so I'm going to continue to chew away at the housing here in an effort to free up that back one without hurting that blade, and more importantly, myself. Could I use gloves for this? Sure. Am I going to? No. I'm a grown man. Blood is part of the game here. More blood for the blood gods, right? So they are sort of plastic welded in there. The plastic is formed around them. So now, hey, there you go. Now you have a perfectly good razor blade. So, like I said before, we're going to place this at a 45-degree angle. We're going to come in from the edge of the card, and we're going to present just that 1/16 to 1/8 of an inch rise in the blade, and that it's going to give us just this tiny little bit of cutting edge. But what you should understand is the whole length of this card is going to create depression on the skin or surface of what you're cutting. And as this slides through, that is going to travel much deeper than you think it will. Okay, so we're going to move this blade off to the side. We are going to get our handy dandy super glue, and very carefully I'm going to add some glue to the oh, come on now. I know you want to. One of the fun parts of super glue is that it's often more than willing to dry up in the tube in between uses. So let's see if we can get that going here. Or maybe this is a new one. It is. There we go. Can never have too much super glue around. They make for excellent small cut sutures. I'm just going to get a liberal amount of glue. And I'm not going to bring glue up to where my razor's edge is going to be. I'm going to put this underneath to keep my mat from getting glued. I'm going to place that down, and then I'm going to shift. Oh, I'm going to shift that just right where I want it. Just like that. Down just a little bit. All right. And then I could take the glue, and I'm gonna cover the bladed edge here. I'm gonna work it around these little spots. I'm just trying to get a really good fix on that blade so that when the time comes that it is doing its job and it's not gonna go anywhere. And when I'm done doing so, and this is dried, then we're going to tape it just for a little bit of added security, because you do not want this to fail when the moment arises. So we'll wait for that. All right, so the glue is dry now, about as dry as we're going to get, for this demonstration. And as you can see here, when I turn this over, I don't know if that's going to pick up really well, but the blade is just showing. And when you slide that really firm across an object, that little bit of blade, I promise you, is devastating. I'll make a video later on that's going to demonstrate that. We'll have to find something that the YouTube algorithms are not going to frown at when we do it. But I'm telling you, that thing cuts really bad. So I'm going to take a little bit of tape, and I'm going to place this like that, just to give it one last little bit of surety. Not that, tape is particularly strong, but, you don't want the little snags and things like that come along with something that is not a truly smooth surface. And what I'm going to do with this now is I'm going to slide this into a little card pocket. And if your room keys come with a decent one, that is great, especially if it's like a firm cardstock or paper. That way, when it's sitting in there, now generally speaking, you're not going to get nicks and cuts, but you want to put this in a safe spot in your wallet that is not going to have a lot of friction, a lot of pressure against this cutting edge, so that when you do want to deploy it, number one, your blade hasn't been bent over time, because that's going to really defeat the purpose of this tool, to have that sleek edge, that fine edge. But then also it's going to tear up everything in the wallet. So there you go. There is your handy dandy credit card knife.